What's up, Bills Mafia? Before we dive into today's breaking story, let's take a moment to appreciate how this team continues to fight, grow, and adapt. Week after week, no matter the challenges, injuries, suspensions, or adversity, the Buffalo Bills are focused on one thing: getting better. Every practice, every snap, every adjustment is about building toward the kind of consistency that brings championships back to Western New York. So before we jump into this loaded update from One Bills Drive, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to Buffalo Beat News, and make sure those notifications are on so you don't miss a single update this season. Now let's talk about what's happening in Orchard Park, because Sean McDermott just got 3 key defensive pieces back on the practice field, and there's major buzz about a potential offensive move that could make the Bills even more dangerous. Bills Mafia, the defense just got some serious reinforcements. Head coach Sean McDermott confirmed that Maxwell Harston, Michael Hocht, and Larry Ogunjobi all returned to practice this week following the team's Week 7 bye. It's a wave of defenders coming back, and each one brings something different to the table. Harston's return is especially encouraging. The rookie cornerback hadn't seen the field since suffering a knee injury during training camp that many feared could end his season. But there he was on Wednesday, helmet on, pads on, and ready to work. That's huge news for a secondary that's been searching for help against opposing passing attacks. Then you've got Michael Hocht and Larry Ogunjobi, both coming back after serving 6-game suspensions for violating the NFL's performance-enhancing drug policy. With both linemen reinstated and practicing, McDermott now has more tools to rotate up front, and that's been a serious area of need. Let's be honest, this defense has looked average, and average isn't good enough for a Sean McDermott-led team. The Bills currently sit 16th in the NFL in passer rating allowed, 92.2, and are tied for 14th in total sacks with just 15. That's not terrible, but it's not elite either. This defense has built its identity on being aggressive, opportunistic, and tough, but lately it hasn't felt that way. Injuries to players like Matt Milano, Terrell Bernard, and Daquan Jones have left the unit thinner than usual, and the front seven hasn't generated the consistent pressure we're used to seeing. That's where Hocht and Ogunjobi come in. Both are powerful, experienced defenders who can disrupt plays at the line of scrimmage. Hocht's versatility he can rush off the edge or slide inside, while Ogunjobi adds a physical, run-stuffing presence that's been sorely missing. Let's be honest, this defense has looked average, and average isn't good enough for a Sean McDermott-led team. The Bills currently sit 16th in the NFL in passer rating allowed, 92.2, and are tied for 14th in total sacks with just 15. That's not terrible, but it's not elite either. This defense has built its identity on being aggressive, opportunistic, and tough, but lately it hasn't felt that way. Injuries to players like Matt Milano, Terrell Bernard, and Daquan Jones have left the unit thinner than usual, and the front seven hasn't generated the consistent pressure we're used to seeing. That's where Hocht and Ogunjobi come in. Both are powerful, experienced defenders who can disrupt plays at the line of scrimmage. Hocht's versatility he can rush off the edge or slide inside, while Ogunjobi adds a physical, run-stuffing presence that's been sorely missing. If there's one stat that's been haunting this team, it's the run defense. Buffalo ranks 31st in the NFL in rushing yards allowed per game and is giving up a brutal 5.8 yards per carry, the worst mark in the league. That's not just a weakness, that's a liability. And guess who's next on the schedule? The Carolina Panthers, featuring Rico Dowdle, the NFL's third leading rusher, and Chuba Hubbard, a former 1,000-yard back. If the Bills can't contain that ground game, it's going to be a long Sunday. That's why these defensive returns are so critical. McDermott said he plans to manage the workload for all 3 players, easing them back into action, but make no mistake, their presence is expected to make an immediate difference. Ogunjobi's ability to anchor the interior and Hocht's energy off the edge could help set the tone for a defensive turnaround. Then there's Maxwell Harston, and man, this one could be special. Before his injury, the rookie was making serious noise in camp. Coaches love his speed, instincts, and ball-tracking ability. Getting him back now gives the Bills a chance to stabilize a cornerback room that's been dealing with both injuries and inconsistency. With rookie Dorian Strong sidelined, Harston's return couldn't come at a better time, especially against the Panthers' offense featuring an emerging passing attack led by rookie receiver Tyro McMillan, along with young weapons Xavier Legette and Jatavian Sanders. Harston's quickness and ability to stay in phase with receivers could be exactly what the Bills need to slow down Carolina's vertical plays. And while the Panthers rank just 26th in passing yards per game, 186.6, they've shown explosive potential when given time in the pocket. If the front seven can get pressure and Harston can hold his own, this Bills defense could look a lot more like the one we expected coming into the season. Now let's flip to the other side of the ball, because things are getting interesting there too. According to reports from A to Z Sports and ESPN, the Bills could be exploring a potential move for Las Vegas Raiders wide receiver Jakobi Meyers, a familiar name to Bills fans. Meyers, who's in the final year of his 3-year, $33 million contract, has officially doubled down on his trade request. Speaking to ESPN's Ryan McFadden, he didn't mince words. "Oh, for sure," Meyers said when asked if he still wants out of Las Vegas, "but I'm a professional at the end of the day. I'm just trying to play good football." That's a big statement, and it could open the door for Brandon Beane to make a move. Meyers would be a perfect fit in this Bills offense. He's a reliable route runner, he understands AFC East football after spending 4 seasons with the New England Patriots, and he has the experience that complements Josh Allen's aggressive play style. Over his career, Meyers has 422 receptions, 4,921 yards, and 20 touchdowns, and he's faced Buffalo 8 times, totaling 25 catches for 241 yards and a score. That means the Bills know exactly what he brings to the table, and they've seen it up close. With Josh Palmer currently listed as week-to-week with an injury, and McDermott not ruling out placing him on injured reserve, adding Meyers could be the spark the offense needs to regain consistency in the passing game. Imagine Josh Allen throwing to Stephon Diggs, Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid, and Jakobi Meyers all in the same formation. That's a nightmare for defensive coordinators. Now, we all know Brandon Beane isn't afraid to make bold moves when the moment calls for it. Whether it was trading for Diggs, drafting Kincaid, or bringing in defensive reinforcements, he's never shied away from upgrading this roster. And with the trade deadline approaching, this could be one of those moments. The Raiders are reportedly open to listening to offers, and Meyers' value is high but manageable. A mid-round pick could get the deal done. For a team like Buffalo that's still in their Super Bowl window, that's the kind of move that can push you over the top. Between the defensive reinforcements and potential trade buzz, this week feels like a turning point for Buffalo. The team went into the bye week needing answers, and now those answers might be starting to take shape. Harston, Hoke, and Ogunjobi returning gives the defense a chance to reset and regroup. And if Brandon Beane can pull off a deal for Meyers, Josh Allen gets another weapon just in time for the playoff push. It's all part of the bigger picture, that constant pursuit of improvement that defines this team.
Rookie cornerback Dorian Strong, who looked like one of the pleasant surprises early in the season, has seen his promising first year take a sudden and unfortunate detour. After a neck injury that forced him out since Week 5, Strong was placed on injured reserve, and the latest update, or rather the lack of one, from Sean McDermott doesn't exactly inspire confidence. When asked about Strong's status before Wednesday's practice, McDermott gave a short but telling response. "No update at this point. I'm still combing through the research and whatnot that goes into his situation there." That's coach speak for we don't know when or if he's coming back anytime soon. And for a player who showed flashes of promise during his early games, that's tough news, both for him and for this team. Let's rewind for a second. Remember how Strong came out of the gate? The 6th-round pick had that raw speed and instinctive feel for coverage that made you think the Bills might have found another late-round gem. But with his neck injury sidelining him indefinitely, the Bills' secondary is starting to look dangerously thin. Right now, Christian Benford and Tre'Davious White are the primary starters at cornerback. But let's be honest, neither has looked like their old selves. White, who's battled through multiple injuries over the past few seasons, has shown flashes, but also some noticeable decline. Benford, while young and talented, has been inconsistent in man coverage. Behind them, the depth chart is, well, let's say it's not what you want when you're trying to win an AFC East title. Jamarcus Ingram is currently the next man up, and while he's shown some fight, he's still unproven at this level. Veteran Dane Jackson, who's now on the practice squad, could be elevated, but he's never been more than a rotational corner at best. There's a bit of hope on the horizon. Rookie Maxwell Harston recently had his 21-day practice window opened, which means he's eligible to return soon. But even then, coming off a significant injury, you can't expect him to immediately step into a high-level role. It's a tough situation, and one that has fans and insiders alike wondering, is it time for Brandon Beane to make a move before the trade deadline? Let's be real, Mafia. This is the moment where championship-caliber teams act. The Bills can't afford to play roulette with their secondary when facing offenses led by the likes of Tua Tagovailoa, Patrick Mahomes, and Joe Burrow down the stretch. If Strong isn't coming back soon, Beane has to look at outside help, and the options are actually interesting. A few names are being floated around in trade rumors. One is Riq Woolen from the Seattle Seahawks, a young, lengthy corner with elite speed and ball skills. He's the type of athletic upgrade who could instantly boost Buffalo's coverage on the outside. Another potential reunion could be with Rasul Douglas, who's now with the Miami Dolphins. We all remember his physical style and high football IQ from his time in Buffalo, and bringing him back could stabilize the cornerback room quickly. Then there's Alontae Taylor of the New Orleans Saints, a tough, versatile defensive back who's known for his aggressive play and ability to switch between slot and boundary roles. Taylor could be a great fit for McDermott's zone-heavy scheme, especially with the Bills struggling to contain explosive plays this season. Now, it's worth noting the Bills' defense has been fighting an uphill battle all year. The pass rush has been inconsistent, and the lack of cornerback depth is making things worse. The team ranks middle of the pack in passer rating allowed and has given up too many big plays on third down. You can have all the pressure up front in the world, but if the secondary can't hold up on the back end, it's going to cost games. And in the AFC race, every game matters. And here's the reality. Buffalo's window with Josh Allen in his prime isn't infinite. You can't waste seasons waiting for maybe next year when your franchise quarterback is giving you elite-level play. That's why fans are getting louder about this issue. They want to see the front office act now, before this secondary turns into a full-blown liability. One thing about McDermott, he's loyal to his players and preaches development from within. But sometimes the situation calls for urgency over patience. If Dorian Strong's recovery drags on beyond Week 10, and all signs suggest it will, the Bills can't just stand by and hope for the best. We've seen what happens when this defense is clicking. It changes games. But we've also seen what happens when opposing quarterbacks pick apart the secondary because of communication breakdowns and lack of speed on the outside. If the Bills want to return to being that dominant top-5 defense, they need another difference maker at corner. It's no secret the upcoming trade deadline will define what kind of team this is. Are the Bills still the aggressive contender we saw in previous years? Or are they going to play it safe and hope injured rookies can fill the void? Fans are hoping for the former. Imagine this, a move for Riq Woolen or Alontae Taylor before Week 10. Suddenly that defense looks revitalized. The message is clear. We're all in. We're not waiting. That's the kind of spark this locker room could use heading into the second half of the season. And to be fair, this front office has done it before. Beane isn't afraid to pull the trigger when he feels the team's window is opened. The Von Miller trade, the Stefon Diggs acquisition, those were bold moves that shifted the trajectory of the franchise. Could another trade at cornerback be next? Only time will tell, but one thing's certain. Dorian Strong's absence has exposed a real vulnerability, and unless it's addressed, it could be the difference between another playoff run and an early postseason exit. So, Bills Mafia, let's wrap it up right here, because this week could be the spark that reignites the Bills' 2025 campaign. 3 defenders are back. A potential trade target could reshape the offense. And the Panthers are next, a team that'll test both Buffalo's defensive resolve and offensive efficiency. If the Bills can handle business this Sunday, momentum comes roaring back. But if they stumble, the pressure only builds. What do you think? Should Brandon Beane go all in and make the trade for Jakobi Meyers? And which returning defender do you believe will have the biggest impact? Hairston, Hoke, or Ogunjobi? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear from every single one of you. And of course, if you love getting exclusive Bills updates like this, smash that like button, subscribe to Buffalo Beat News, and hit the bell so you're always the first to know what's happening with your Buffalo Bills. Until next time, Bills Mafia, keep believing, keep fighting, and as always, go Bills!